So now the next one that I want to show you, and you may have seen this before, but you can actually do a lot of work without using any expensive modifiers. You can do a lot of photography with just a reflector if you want. So I'm going to produce a dramatic photo starting with using one reflector and one reflector only, and then we're going to add in a second reflector as the fill light. So one reflector will be the key, shine the flash into that, and then the other reflector is the fill. Key and fill. All right, I'm going to put you to work here. Your job is to hold that. Can you handle it?
Yep.
Good job. Impressive. So one of my favorite tools, again, is this guy here. All right, this has got the reflector boom arm on there. And if you want to save money in your overall studio and your overall photography, I encourage you to buy one of these. It's adjustable, so it'll go out to like 4 feet or 5 feet, and it basically has these little clamps on it that holds the reflector into place. It's a super useful tool. It's very hard to use on a windy set, so don't take it outside unless you have really heavy sandbags. But inside of a studio environment like this, it works just great. The one tip that I would give you is to keep the arm over one of the legs, because if you don't, it'll flop over on you pretty quick. So I'm always paying close attention to that. Okay, so we're going to set that in place there. Next is I need a light stand for my flash. So I'm going to take off my softbox. There we go. Let's put that down on the floor. And we're going to end up shining that flash right into the softbox. These are the greatest tools in the world. They come generally for free with your flashes, but you basically screw that here onto the top of your light stand, and then you put your flash right into this plastic foot. And you can also set your flash on the floor if you need to. It's just a really flexible tool. Okay. Since the light source for this is going to be this round reflector, I want that to produce most of the shape, and I want to kind of control where the light goes. So I'm going to take off my diffusion dome and just basically shine that right into the reflector itself. And you're probably all thinking, this is kind of a lot of the same lighting that we would use for other scenarios. And the answer is, yeah, you're right. But it's all about managing the shadow and the background. I know I made that point earlier. It's always about managing the shadow and managing the brightness of the background. I'm going to pull out my little diffusion panel in the front to get a little bit more coverage. And I'm just going to do a quick visual test. Set that and just see if I'm kind of filling up that reflector with light. It looks close enough. It's a good starting point. Okay. Again, dramatic light. It's off to the side. It's a little bit in front, but we're going to get some shadow off of that end of his face. I'm looking at the overall angles. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to take two pictures here. One is with your right shoulder forward, a little bit more, yeah. And then the other is kind of your body facing into the light, okay? So picture number 1. Great, and then we'll take another one with the torso into the light. Actually, you know what? I need to look at the exposure. Make sure I didn't blow out your face. Oh, it's actually, I really like that look. That's a nice, serious look. I did good job on the exposure. That's nice. Let's look at his catch light in the eye. That looks pretty good. I got a little bit of catch light over here on this side of the face. You don't always need that for your dramatic shots, but again, it shows a little bit of life. I really like that look, so I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to make any changes to brightness. This next shot, as I described, I have him turn his other shoulder towards me. That's great. Nice, and bring your nose down a little bit. Cool. Wait for that beep, and then shoot again. Love it. and that background really adds a nice element to the photograph, more so than just the black seamless. I like having some texture back there for my dramatic portraits. Right on. So let's say you're photographing, here we're photographing a man, and we like that really dramatic look for men. Sometimes though, for women and kids, we don't want it to be as stark. We want a little bit more kinder, gentler look to it. So we throw in a reflector on the other side to fill in some of the shadows. And so to do that, I'm going to use this reflector. Haven't used this one yet. Made by Rogue Imaging. And this is kind of a, it's taller and skinnier. More of like a strip reflector. You've heard of strip lights? Well, this is a strip reflector. And this will kind of produce a nice, long, skinny catchlight in his eyes. There's silver on one side and white on the other, just like all the other reflectors that I buy. I like the silver and white combo. So for this, let me show you another tool. Here, would you just balance that or just hold on to it for a second? For this, I'm going to use a little reflector clamp. One of my favorite tools that costs only about $20. It's one of the great tools in the world of photography. Basically, it's an umbrella bracket, and then on top of the umbrella bracket where you would normally put your flash, it mounts this little bracket in there. So it's an umbrella bracket with a clamp. So I'm going to call it a umbrella bracket clamp reflector holder. Google that and see what you get. All right, thank you. And it's super easy. You just hang your reflector just like that. Another free set of hands in the studio. And because we are photographing a man, I'm not going to go with the silver side. I'm going to go with the white side, so just a little bit less reflection on his face. I'm going to raise it up so we get the reflection or the catchlight in his eyes. Nice. One point I want to make here, I haven't talked about it much today. When you're setting up your reflectors, especially your fill, you got to think about billiards or pool. Where the light's coming from, it has to reflect off of something and then bounce back onto the subject. So for example, if I did this, that's really not doing anything for me. It's like perpendicular to where the light's coming from. If I did this, what's going on with that reflection? Well, the reflector is shining on the back side of his body. So I might get a little bit of light here on his ear, but that's really not what I'm after. So pay close attention to the positioning of your reflector, just like you would pay close attention to the positioning of your key light. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. No changes to exposure. Hopefully it just fills in a little bit of the shadows. Nice. Chin down a tiny bit. Super. And now we should fill in some of that shadow information. Cool. And let's look at the catchlight in his eye. It's real subtle. Real subtle, but you can see it there on that side. Photographers are always into our catchlights. Some photographers like triangular catchlights, other like diamonds, some like square, round. You'll develop your own style over time, your own specific look. For now, I'm just giving you kind of some options. So, all right, questions about that? Questions about using a reflector as your key and your fill? Yes?
We did get one question about using color gels. If you put a color gel on that reflector, would it do anything to the color of the light that reflected, or would it be just...
Yeah, so let's talk about gels. First of all, just so everybody understands what that term is. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think where my gels are. I think they're in a bag elsewhere. That's okay. I'll just answer it rhetorically. So a gel goes right here over the flash, typically. And the purpose of a gel is to color the light so that you produce a certain effect, like a red color or a blue color. Another purpose of a gel is to balance the color of flash so it matches your ambient light. 2 weeks ago, I was photographing a fundraiser, and they had fluorescent lighting inside of the gymnasium. And I wanted to include a lot of the ambient light in the gymnasium, but the color of flash is way different than the color of fluorescent. So you want your flash to match the color of the ambient. So I would put this fluorescent gel on there. So now when I'm going around the event, the light on the subject is the same color as the light in the background. Okay, so the question from the internet was, what if we put a gel on the reflector? Well, that's kind of the wrong use of a gel because gels are generally pretty small. Really what you would want to do is just use a different color reflector. And that's it's a great skill set to learn. There's some photographers out there who are doing lots of neat photography with different colored flashes and different colored reflectors, and it looks really neat for this commercial look, for this kind of high fashion look. So can't really use a gel, but you could use a different color reflector. Cool. Awesome question. Yeah.
The question from the internet was more of if they wanted to use creative gels to get a softer look. Say you put your blue gel on your flash and reflected it onto the reflector. So shot blue gel through the flash on the reflector, the effect it would have by doing that, or would it do anything?
Yeah, it would totally do something. It would turn everything blue. Yeah, and that goes from creating what I would call a really dramatic photo to creating a very artistic style photo, right? So yeah, you can use gels. In fact, one of the guys, I think he's taught some classes with Creative Live. His name is Nick Fancher. He does some really cool work with gels, whereas he'll have red on one and blue on the other, and then the shadows fall in the backdrop. It's a really creative, fascinating look. But for this type of photography, I'm not sure it's the right tool to use because everything will be blue or everything will be red, and I don't know. How do you look in solid blue? Pretty Blue Man? You haven't been Blue Man before? No. Okay. Yeah. I love gels. I have a bunch of them and I use them, but not so much in this scenario. Cool. Great.
I just wanted to mention again for everybody that didn't hear or had a question about the backdrop, that's seamlessphoto.com. You can go there, check them out. They're beautiful backdrops. We're really grateful for how they help us out here at Creative Live, so make sure you check those out. They're high quality and really, really cool when you get to feel them here in person. So.